and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach Mays, Arcade, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A. The A stands for...
Drink more coffee,
I
Ryan.
know.
I'm trying to help you here because I'm thinking, is there anything? It stands for ACC because there's a big.
Nice. That's exactly what I was trying to think of. Actually.
Yeah, Atlantic Coast Conference.
Something
There's
about
a
that
big
game tonight.
ACC game tonight that the Broncos are taking particular interest in because you have two potential round one quarterbacks on display: Kenny Pickett of Pitt, Sam Howell of North Carolina.
And I absolutely love it that in just a matter of, 6 days, George Payton's going and seeing 4 potential top picks in the draft at the quarterback position. I love it, guys.
Yeah.
Do you get to choose, if you're an NFL GM, where you sit here? Because, I would want to be on the sidelines. Is that available to me?
The pregame sideline passes are available.
Okay.
You may have seen the picture on the Broncos social media feeds from Oxford, Mississippi last Saturday of George Payton watching intently the warm-ups, and that's usually kind of a key thing. The scouts, GMs like to be at field level for warm-ups. Then they have to go up to their press box seat to watch the game.
See, okay.
You'd like to be there the whole game.
I'm trying to grease whoever I need to grease to make sure I can stay on the sideline the whole game.
I feel like as an NFL GM, you should be able to.
When you're in a box, it's really not that much different than just watching the game on TV. Not really. Actually, it's better than watching the game on TV. It's no different than watching the All-22 film later, in my opinion.
But it's not just that. For example, when you're in the box, if you're watching a specific prospect, you're not just watching him on the field. You're watching him on the sideline. You're watching him, how he interacts with coaches.
But
how
I need to be on the sidelines to really know the answers.
You can't hear that, but at least you can see and kind of you can certainly get an impression of what's going on. If you're look, if I decide to take a Bronco game and just focus on one player and then watch him on the sideline, and sometimes I've watched Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock on the sideline, though not the detriment of watching the game. You can pick up some things.
Yeah, you can
body language, the way they interact with people. I mean, it's been interesting for this year, frankly, to see Drew Lock and how he's handled being the backup.
I honestly think even more beneficial than that being there in person is you get to talk to people that you wouldn't be able to talk to on the phone, maybe even some people that are even more removed from the football operations, and just see how they are as a person, how they interact with people, what type of leader they truly are.
Yeah, that's your scout's job, though, and usually the scouts have been there.
I think that's important for George Payton as well.
Yeah, and you got to trust your scouts' info because the scouts are the ones that have the contacts. If you're a regional scout, you've got contacts who are trainers and who are people around the program, that kind of thing. And so George could do a little bit of that, but you're going to lean heavily on the intel that has already been gathered by your scouts. So you got to hope that your Atlantic regional scout that is focused on Carolina and your Northeast regional scout that's focused on Pitt has good intel for you.
I think when it comes to quarterback, though, George has to be there for that.
I think there's just certain things, though, when you're on the sideline, you can hear the way it sounds when the ball hits the pads or hits their hands. You can really just feel how much it pops off of their arm when they throw it. But these scouts, just to tell a little scouting story here, they dig deep. When I was just a student covering Colorado basketball, I won't say what team they were for, but a scout was scouting Andre Robertson, and he was asking me oh, so you're a student here? Yeah. Do you have any classes with him? I was like, yeah. He's like, does he show up? I was like, yeah. He's asking me all that. Then he gave me his call, or he asked for my email address. It was like, do you mind if I just, email you some questions and stuff just throughout the year about him? And he was like, when our team comes to Denver, I'll hook you up with some tickets.
Wow. Did that happen?
Yep.
Wow. How about that?
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And honestly, Andre was like a really great dude. So I
Right.
It would have been weird if I had to like throw some guy under the bus,
Right.
for the free tickets. But I literally just kept being like, yeah, man, he's awesome. And he's like, does he go to parties? I'm like, don't we all? But he's like, is he ever out of hand at parties? No,
Right.
But he was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. And did it work out for him with that team?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Ryan helped.
Yep. But yeah, those scouts, they dig deep. They do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Broncos Eagles Sunday. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you looking forward to this game?
10 being the most.
10 being like I go to sleep every night thinking about Broncos Eagles.
I think it's a 6.
Okay.
And that's pretty high. A little above average.
I would put myself at probably an 8. This is the number one sporting event of the weekend that I'm looking forward to. Like, you've got Nuggets games, Avs games, Buffs games.
Well, I agree with that.
When I look at everything on tap, I'm like, wow, Broncos Eagles Sunday. I can't wait to see if the Broncos have it in them.
It's the most high leverage of those games that you're talking about, of course. I mean, no offense to the Nuggets and Avs, but early season Nuggets, Avs, and an 82-game schedule compared to Game 10 of a 17-round fight where the team is fighting for the playoffs. But, I mean, I look forward to even the meaningless games. I look forward to on at least like a 7.5 level.
Really?
Oh,
Well, see, I was trying to put it in perspective.
yeah.
Meaningless games are a 1.
yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I would say like a 1 is
yeah.
like, oh God, Bronco. Like I gotta deal with this Broncos game this week.
Game
like-
day is like why we do this, though.
Oh no, and I
That's the
totally
thing.
agree. But I will say, like, I guess in my scale, like I said, I'm comparing it to the other games of the weekend. I love being at a position where the Broncos game is the most exciting game of the weekend to me. Like, that's the one where the most can be learned. And it's the one where I think the fans are going to be there. They're going to be jazzed. It's going to be a great atmosphere. For the second time this season, I'll be in the stands. And I'm excited for that. So maybe that plays a role too. But I just think, like, it's been a while for me since Game 10 of the season ranked number 1 on the weekend of games to pay attention to.
Very fair. For me, what's a 10 is that Kansas City Chiefs game in Week 18 if there's playoff implications there. So that's a 10. A 9 right now is that Chargers game right after the bye. So that's just why it's a couple notches below.
I'd flip those, and I think especially if they win this game, I think Chargers game is going to be a 10, and then what happens in that game I think determines if the Chiefs game is a 10.
Well, I said
yeah.
if the Chiefs game has playoff implications.
Yeah.
I think I don't give out 10s. I don't give out 10s. 10 is like the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in playoff games would be a 10 for me, and that's why.
Although I did say
Chances
10
to
is
make
just
the
you're
playoffs.
thinking about it every night before you go to bed. Yeah, I mean, that's probably where you'll be if there's playoff implications.
Is there a Bronco playoff game that wasn't a 10 in terms of anticipation?
You know what's funny is the Tebow Steelers game, a lot of people were not at a 10 for that game. In fact, I had tickets that I couldn't go to the game. I had to sell them. I had to sell them below face value.
That's
Yeah.
nuts. That's nuts. How about maybe the Jags game in '96? Could that have not been a 10 going into it?
Oh, it was because they were the number 1 seed. The anticipation was off the charts of the fan base.
There wasn't like let's get this out of the way and move on to the
Right.
next round type
That's
of
what
thing.
I thought it would have been like, because weren't they significant favorites?
They were significant favorites, but remember, it was the first Bronco home playoff game in 5 years. So it had been a while before, and also just here's the moment. This is the year John Elway finally breaks through. But of course, it was a 10 for the Broncos. But in terms of the opponent, people did think, okay, the Broncos are going to take care of business, not realizing just how hot the Jaguars had gotten down the stretch. I mean, they weren't an expansion team at that point. They were a team that I think had won like 6 of 7 coming into that game. They were legitimately good, and they proved that in the years that followed by remaining a contender.
There were really weird vibes around the Colts game, John Fox's last game.
Yeah.
But they came up. That came
That's
up
a
game
good
day,
point.
like up until game day, like throughout the week. I think there was a lot of anticipation for it. It was, hey, Peyton going against his old team, divisional round. But the moment stuff started breaking that morning, at that point the anticipation just went.
But I speak for myself here as I was just watching as a fan at that time, and like I didn't even do anything for the game. I literally watched the game alone on my ex-girlfriend's couch while she was at work. Like my friends weren't even like, "Oh, Broncos playoffs, like let's go out to the bar." Like it was for some reason it was like I think it was kind of like a wait and see game. People are like, "Okay, like are they ever going to finally get over this hump, you know?"
Right.
Well, the problem is they were going to play the Patriots next week no matter what, because the Patriots had won the day before, and it was sort of and that was the other thing that was hanging over is like, oh, you win, but that means you get the right to fly to Foxborough and get your tail kicked in by the Pats, who had been beating up the Broncos by and large every time they went to Foxborough at that point.
Man, we're talking about the Colts game?
Yep.
Yeah, I was way overlooking that game. Way overlooking it.
I wasn't excited. I think I was a little hungover. Just like
The team
sat
was
there
hung-
watching the team just like
The team played
lay
like they
an
were
absolute
hungover.
egg.
Yeah, they did. They
All
really
right.
did.
Except for a few guys. Hat tip to CJ Anderson, who battled his ass off in that game. But a lot of guys didn't bring it that day.
All right. Well, are they going to bring it on Sunday? That's what we got to predict now. Let's put down our official predictions for this one, boys. Zach, we'll start with you.
And guys, before I give my prediction, in the comment section on the live pod right now, hit us with your prediction. I want to see how the vibes are in Broncos country. Boy, guys, this game, I've said it all week. The Eagles are beatable, but they're going to make it tough. They're going to be competitive, and especially on the road, guys. They're a very good road football team. In fact, that's where all three of their wins have come. On the road. They beat the Falcons in week 1, 32-6. They beat the Carolina Panthers 21-18, and they beat the Detroit Lions 44-6. They only have one loss on the road. They're 3-1 on the road. They lost to the Raiders 33-22. That was their second most recent home game. And guys, the Broncos are closer to the Raiders than they are the Lions and the Panthers and the Falcons. The Broncos are a better team than those three teams, and that's why the Broncos do get the win here. But it's going to be close. I'm going 24-21. This comes down to the wire. It's not a game where the Eagles score 14 late points to make it seem like a game. The Broncos keep this one close, but get the dub, go into the bye on a 3-game win streak.
Mace?
Broncos are going to win. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think, look, Jalen Hurts is going to make some plays with his legs that are going to probably create some new challenges for Baron Browning, Kenny Young working at the core of that defense. You know, Dak Prescott, he had the calf injury, clearly limited his mobility last week. Not the case for Jalen Hurts. Philadelphia's defense, though, last 7 games has accounted for 27 points allowed a game. I mean, if not for that Detroit game where they only gave up 6 and Detroit just looked absolutely useless out there, then this is a defense the last 7 games that be giving up 30+. The Broncos offense, as long as they focus on what they do best, ought to be able to have another game like last week where they get around 30 points. I'm going to call Broncos 31. McManus isn't going to miss his PAT this time. Eagles 23.
Wow.
Back-to-back 30-point games.
I'm glad I just...
What will Broncos country do with itself?
I don't know.
With back-to-back 30-point games.
Do you think we could plan a parade?
Seriously, I mean, you got a weekend to do it.
Yeah. Okay, guys. If you've so I'm very aware of what happens when who picks what. And so just bear with me here.
Okay.
First of all, I've been to 3 sporting events in this calendar week. Actually,
week,
in
I like that.
this 7-day span, not a calendar week.
Last night you brought the good vibes. 2 nights ago you brought the good vibes up in Boulder.
Yep, and then Saturday also a win in Boulder, but that's not what where I'm going with this. 2 of those 3 games have gone to overtime, and I feel like overtime is really in the air these days. In fact, late in that Nuggets game, I was like, "Oh, here we go, overtime again." Didn't end up happening.
Free sports, great.
Yes, exactly. I think that this game goes to overtime.
Oh, I love it.
And I think it goes to overtime with the score tied 27-27. And
30-point game.
for very specific reasons,
I know what you're doing.
I'm picking the Eagles to win on a field goal 30-27.
Can we talk about that reason you're
Nope.
picking them? Okay,
Nope.
okay. We'll
it
leave that
personal?
on the back burner. Yeah,
He's trying to jinx it.
exactly.
I have no idea what you're
Exactly.
talking about.
Thank you, Allie,
that's
for shining the light of truth in
It's
here.
exactly what he's trying to do, and we appreciate that, Ryan. And so you don't think the Broncos hit that 30-point mark, guys? I'm just. Tell me if I'm crazy, but I'm not buying in to Pat Shurmur and the Broncos offense yet. I don't think they're explosive, dominant offense just yet. 24 points though. We'll say that the Broncos offense did their job, and on the flip side, if they hold the Eagles to 21, we'll say the Broncos defense did their job.
Yep, and I think the reason why I have them scoring 27 this week is I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to run the ball well against the Eagles, and man, it is crazy how much this offense changes when they pop an 8-yard run on first down. It just completely alters the entire drive.
Or when their second and long run, instead of being stuffed, goes for 10 to 12 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like people. I know everyone kind of, gets frustrated with the second down runs sometimes, but they were working last Sunday.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, instead of 3rd and 15, you're looking at 3rd and 6.
By the way,
you're able, and Teddy Bridgewater, 3rd and 6, has a pretty good chance of being able to get that.
By the way, I was talking to Spencer, Big Drive Spence, who was at the game in Dallas. He was like,
Was he in the field level club?
he got to go to that before the game.
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. Yeah.
He was saying like absolutely no teeth in the Dallas Cowboys fan base. Not a single person yelling, screaming, upset. No one was chirping at them for cheering on the Broncos.
Shocker, right?
Well, and I just said like the Cowboys ruined their fan base by creating that, at least their game day fan base, by creating that stadium. You price out all of the real diehard fans. You bring in all of the moguls and people who are just there to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Jerry World on a Sunday."
It is a wine and cheese crowd.
It is, and that
really
just
is.
sucks.
Yeah, it's a Super Bowl
Yeah.
crowd.
I think it's something that the Broncos just need, if they ever build a new stadium, just keep that in mind.
Dallas
you
is
got to
always-
keep the
yeah.
South stands alive, even though
Yeah.
the South stands aren't even quite the same South stands that they once were.
The thing is, the Cowboys have always had a significant kind of whining cheese element to their fan base, going back to Texas Stadium.
Is that just a Dallas thing?
It's Dallas is Dallas is big hair, big
Right.
suits, big. It's everything is big and fancy in Dallas. I mean, there's something to it. Hey, I mean, I don't mind visiting. I think the vibe is kind of fun, but I don't know that it lends itself to the most passionate game day experience. I think the Cowboys, when they go on the road, tend to have a fan base that is a little more
Right, because
Like,
fans
when-
can actually afford the tickets.
when they go play in LA, then that's
Oh, yeah.
that's hardcore Cowboy fans, and those are the fans that pick the team up from all the years that they've done training camp over in Ventura County, and that it just feels different. The other thing is, by creating that stadium, like you said, they create a destination that everyone wants to get to.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the
inevitably,
week.
every fan base says, "Oh, Jerry World's on the schedule. I
Right.
got to go visit that place." So they don't have a home field advantage like most of their rivals do in the NFC.
It was just embarrassing to me that they didn't. Like, they were just weak.
that is really. Also,
you know. By the
Cowboys-
way, what the Broncos should do, you said, hey, what should they do in a new stadium? I think they should make sure that there are south stands that are kind of maybe even just bleachers.
Yeah, they'll never do that, but I
I
would
know
love
they
the
won't
idea.
do that, but you know what I'm getting at.
Put them on water too.
Yeah, but I'm saying like part of the stands that are conducive to just people not being comfortable standing up. The tickets are going to be a little bit cheaper, but you go like to English soccer games, for example, and there's always like part of the stands that kind of drive the energy. Like
Yeah,
the
you need like a student section.
right, and that's basically
the
what
South
your
stands are.
Exactly, that's basically what your bleachers at one end of the stadium would be.
By the way, sitting there again this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
We found our spot.
Yeah, you got to sit there then.
Yep. All right.
I also want to say I feel like this is going to be so annoying because we're going to the game with my little brothers, and Ryan's going to be trying to do this jinx the whole time, and he's going to be just like, yeah, guys, I totally think the Eagles are going to win, and like hyping them up, and then it's all for his like jinx.
I completely get it, though. Look at me with the Braves. I never would predict them to win, even as they were going on their run.
Yeah, I think you guys are so crazy.
So
crazy. I'm with Allie here.
I'm just following the trends.
Oh
For
my
me, it's
God.
just it's bad karma to assume that you're going to win.
You don't have to assume. You can just hope
Yeah,
for
you can be hopeful
for
on
who
your
you
team.
want.
You can just be honest with what you're predicting.
Yeah, but I mean, to some degree, I feel like if I bet on my team, that's like that's an assumption. Then if they lose, it's double loss. So
I'm just
bet against your team, and either you're happy because your team won, or you're happy because you won the bet.
I've just kept close track of what happens when who picks what. Anyways, if you're coming to the game, if you're at a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the level of your excitement for this game, you're absolutely going to want to come to the DNVR bar, catch the party bus over to the game, go to the tailgate, have a great time over there. We've got a nice little warm area if it ends up being chilly that day. We've also got Breckenridge Distillery whiskey if you need an internal blanket. Of course, we have the Breck brews. Of course, we have the sexy pizza. All sorts of fun things to do. We've got all the games. It's going to be an absolute blast. So make sure you get your tickets to the tailgate at DNVRLocker.com. And again, come on the bus if you need a ride. Otherwise, you can just meet us there. Of course, all members also get $5 off. We'd love to see you there. I think this could be the tailgate of the year. I think it could.
I love it. Guys, you know what the greatest gift to give is? One that you benefit from, too. So why don't you gift Manscaped to your significant other?
Okay.
You buying it?
You're talking to the ladies.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the gentlemen.
Exactly, exactly. Just gift that, and then it's a double whammy. You both win right there, and it's a win for you because obviously you're going to be all groomed, or you're going to be dealing with a groomed-up situation for the dagger, as Mace would call it. Or if
That's
it's,
what the script calls it.
or if you're giving it to someone, you know that they're going to be safe while
don't call it a
using the
dagger.
Lawnmower 4.0 for their dagger. And, of course, if you use the code DNVR over at Manscaped.com, you will get 20% off plus free shipping on not just the Lawnmower 4.0, which has that advanced skin-safe technology, which is waterproof, which has a very long battery life, which has wireless charging. You also get it on all of the products they have, including these awesome 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioners, and, of course, their body wash, which just comes in fantastic packaging as well. So make sure to check out everything they have to offer. Put together that perfect package for your significant other's perfect package at manscaped.com and get 20% off by using that code DNVR20.
Also, check
Or
out
DNVR.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not DNVR. Well, it's 20% off though, right?
Yep.
But it's just DNVR.
It's DNVR for 20% off.
There you go.
There, yeah. We need to have like a user's guide to all the DNVR discount codes. Because some it's DNVR, some it's DNVR 20. Some it's
A
DNVR
lot of times
15.
people will just DM me and they're like, "What's the code?" I'm
Yep.
like, "I got you."
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Also, tell you about Breckenridge Brewery. Of course, you can come on down to the tailgate and get some of those delicious Breckenridge brews. We're going to have them. Basically, it's all you can drink. Not that we're encouraging binge drinking.
Got to be careful with Eagles fans.
Yeah, it's very true.
But it's all you can.
Uh-oh, you're being put in the birdcage right
Yeah.
now.
That's not even debatable.
All NFL fans drink a lot.
That's true.
That is
So
true.
all the Eagles hate is just too
There's
much.
no hate. I literally love Eagles fans because
He's
they drink
literally
so much.
pulling for the Eagles.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
Do we need to put an expansion franchise in Salt Lake City to test the theory that all NFL fan bases drink a lot?
I mean, yes, I think
Maybe
it would still
crushing
hold up.
5% beers.
I'm telling you, I went to the Eagles game and we were ripping beer bongs and stuff like it was college all over again.
Well, there are plenty of places in Utah where you can get Breckenridge brews, and you can probably go on the Breck Beer locator and find out. There's probably places in Utah where you can get some of that Christmas ale, which you can get plenty of around here in Denver. It's at pretty much every grocery store, every liquor store that you'll find right now. You can get the big kegs of Christmas ale, but wherever you go in the country, if you want to know where to get those Breckenridge brews, go to the Breck Beer locator on their website. You're probably not too far from someplace that has some variety of those delicious Breckenridge brews. And if you're in the area of the Denver area, you have let's say you have lunch at the DNVR bar, Maybe you want to go have dinner someplace else. I don't know why you would, but if you do, check out the Farmhouse, which is at Breckenridge Brewery's facility down in Littleton, and get a great meal. And if you just want to have a takeout order from there, 303-803-1380 from noon to 8 p.m. for pickup, and you can use that code DNVR. It's another DNVR code, and get $5 off your meal, and they'll bring your to-go order right out to your car for you.
All right, guys, let's travel around the AFC West to get our predictions. And, guys, some tough news. The Broncos, mathematically, there's no way they can be in first place in the AFC West after this weekend. I crunched all the numbers, tried to come up with ties in there, and the Broncos just can't be in first place with tiebreakers and everything. But they can be out of the bottom of the AFC West. They can be real darn close. And so let's see just how close they are. And before we get to our picks, let's take a look at the scoreboard, guys. And Mace still in the lead here.
I reached last week, and
It
it
did.
almost
It
paid off
did.
for me. It
You got
almost.
one.
Yeah, I thought I could get 2 out of 3.
Yep.
And I really should have. Thanks a lot, Eagles.
I'm
and
still
thanks
mad.
a lot, Packers.
I'm still mad about the Raiders going into New York and just laying an egg.
Oh, I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
Well-
you guessed it.
Yep.
I was rooting for my pick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Mace is in the lead. Ryan, thank you for reaching. I hope you do it again today so I can
have no
continue to
choice.
build that lead. We're already in the stretch point. I love it.
Yeah.
We got to reach. All right, let's dive into our first game, guys. We've got the Vikings going into Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Guys, Chargers reeling a bit. 1-2 in their past 3 games after their very hot start, but it's not like Minnesota is this super team that's going to stop them. As we talked about yesterday, Kirk Cousins playing out of his mind. Yet the Vikings, 3-5. Who do you have?
Vikings.
Now, is there any logic to that, or is it just picking against the Chargers?
No, well, first of all, yes, I always pick against the Chargers, and it's worked almost half the time.
Exactly.
Honestly, I actually believe this one.
We talk about chargering it, though, right?
Yeah, the Chargers are going to charger it, and honestly, the Vikings are just a sneaky team. There's 2 ways this game goes, in my opinion. The Vikings win or they get blown out. They're just one of those teams. If they show up, they're actually good. Now, obviously, they're dealing with the Dalvin Cook situation, which is something to keep an eye on. But he's
playing, right?
still practicing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but even then, just the distraction of it is something to keep in mind. But I just think that the Vikings sometimes go in there and they just game plan you. And when their game plan works, they're really tough to stop.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point. Now, Ryan, you're Mr. Overtime this week. Do you want to predict an overtime game? Because the Vikings have been in 3 overtime games so far this year. And, well, they're 1-2, so maybe you don't want to predict an overtime game.
Well, water finds its level. Overtime, they get to 2-2.
I love it. I love it. Mace, who do you have in this game?
Well, we talk about charging it, but if we look at close games this year, the Chargers are actually 4-2 in one-score games, and the Vikings are 2-5. These are teams that, though, when you think of them, you think of teams that find ways to lose games they shouldn't lose.
Yep.
Something has to give, right?
Yeah.
The Vikings, I mean, I can't get the first 2 losses they had to Cincinnati and Arizona out of my mind. They've done very little to kind of overturn that. They found a way to lose to the Cowboys with Cooper Rush at quarterback.
Wait, but Arizona was a good loss, right? No, I mean, Arizona's only had one loss.
Missed field goal at the end.
Yeah.
Again,
They should have won.
But
They
doesn't
should've
that
won.
show it that it was
Right.
it was a good
they're competitive, but
loss, if you
they
can have
find way. The Minnesota finds ways to lose. They find ways to lose late. I think their ability to find ways to lose trumps the ability of the Chargers to find a way to fritter away a winnable game. I'm going to go with the Chargers. It wouldn't surprise me if this game ended in a tie.
Oh man, I mean with
Pick it.
the Viking, yeah, you want to pick it? Boldest move?
I'm not picking the tie. I'm picking the Chargers. The ties are just too rare to pick.
Oh, yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Although the Vikings have had a few ties over the years.
And they've been close to a few this week or this year. And guys, it really feels like it's the Los Angeles Vikings and the Minnesota Chargers. They just feel like such similar teams. Like they have some talent at spots. And now the Chargers, they're putting it together enough where they're atop the division right now, or they're close to atop the division. But it just feels like they should be better than what they are. And of course the Vikings should, with the quarterback play they're getting, should be way better than 3-5. And Ryan, kind of like you're always going to pick against the Chargers. Just to spite you, I'm always going to pick the Chargers. So Chargers are going to win this game. And
This will, considering the fact that they will probably be over 500 this year, this will end up benefiting you more than I.
hopefully. And then guys, the last game in the AFC West is the Chiefs going in to Las Vegas to play the Raiders on Sunday Night Football. And what's interesting about all of the games in the AFC West, guys, they're all 2.5-point spreads over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Broncos favored by 2.5, Chargers favored by 2.5, and Chiefs, the only road team that's favored in the AFC West, favored by 2.5 going into Las Vegas. How do you like this unfolding?
God, this game, I don't like either team, like not just because they're the Chiefs and the Raiders, just I don't like their teams.
Yep.
Let me hear what you guys have to say first.
Go ahead, Zach. I'm looking something up.
Well, the Raiders, we talked about it earlier this week. You're cheering for the Raiders to win this game. I know the Raiders are first in the AFC West now, and that would just extend their lead on the Broncos a little bit. But who are you more concerned of at the end of this season, the Raiders or the Chiefs? I think we all agree that it's the Chiefs. So you want the Raiders to win. But, man, neither team is trending in the right direction right now.
The Raiders are such a mess.
And Derek Carr, I still really like him and who he is as a quarterback, but I got to go Patrick Mahomes. I just have to give that edge to Patrick Mahomes.
Does Derek Carr maybe have a cold weather thing? I know they're playing a dome.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
Like he always tails off second half of the season,
Yeah,
except for that 1 year.
Would make a lot of sense.
I wonder if that is a thing.
Yep, I'm going Chiefs. I don't want it. As crazy as it is, we'll be pulling for the Raiders when we're doing our post-game pod, sitting up here after the Broncos game, but I think the Chiefs get it.
You know what? I guess the thing I want to look up really quick is what is the Raiders' record in the last 2 seasons without Henry Ruggs? 0-4.
Wow.
13-7 in all the other
They'll
games.
never win a game again.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll find a way at some point, but they do miss the vertical threat that he provides.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I thought he completely had unlocked a new version of Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And for once, it seemed like they made the right pick in going for just the speedster. I mean, what's crazy is Henry Ruggs didn't have a record of doing bad things.
No.
So it's not like they messed up in that category really
Like they
either.
did with Damon Arnett.
Right, exactly. And it's just one of those. This is like a classic Raiders gonna Raider type of thing. Like they just this type of stuff. They get themselves into it. I cannot pick the Raiders. They are too dysfunctional, and they have so many things going against them. The only thing that the Chiefs have going against them is just that they're not playing great football.
Right.
I can get past that faster than I can get past just whatever the hell the Raiders are doing.
I haven't decided what's going to happen first. You picking the Raiders to win a game, or are you picking the Chargers to win a game? Something tells me, though, that you're going to just keep the grudge on the Chargers no matter who they play. So I think you end up picking the Raiders first.
I mean, the Chargers have to play like the Lions or something at some point. I don't know who they're going to play. Someone of that quality that I can pick against them.
Mace?
Or that I could pick for
Are
them.
you going with the 0-4
I'm
route?
I'm going with the Chiefs and on that stat. It's
I
funny.
don't like this.
I'm always looking for a stat that says, okay, I there's something that I feel, but I'm not sure. As Pat Bowlen once said, I feel bad about how things are going, and I know there's a stat to explain why I feel bad. And I feel like the Raiders are teetering, and it's like, okay, what's the stat that shows me that they're in trouble? It's 0-4 without Henry Ruggs. So give me the Chiefs in this game. By the way, looking at the Chargers schedule, looking for when you might pick them, it's their next few games: Minnesota, Pittsburgh, at Denver, at Cincinnati. Might not be until they get the New York Giants there at home. on December the 12th.
I
before
don't
you're
know if
picking the
Ryan.
Chargers.
I don't even know if Ryan's picking him against
Danny
the Giants.
Dimes.
But
I think he's going to be able to convince
2
himself.
weeks after that, the Chargers play at Houston.
Okay, there we go. That's
Yeah.
Ryan's first pick.
That's going to be
Even then, he'll be saying Philip Lindsay's getting
No,
hot.
no. That's going to be a snooze fest. And if you want to have a snooze fest every night in your room, you got to hit up our friends over at Snooze
Impressive.
Sleep. They've got the 4-in-1 snooze flip mattress. I sleep on this every single night, and I can't say enough good things about it. It is the best mattress I've ever slept on. It's comfortable. It's soft. It basically just like it just like hugs you when you lay into bed, and it's just like everything's gonna be okay. And you know that's just a great thing to have in your mattress.
Broncos fans need that after you're picking the Eagles to win.
Yeah, they might.
They need a
unless
nice,
they-
comfortable snooze.
Unless they use it up top. Do some research on who I've picked the last 2
mind
weeks.
games.
But yeah, it's a 4-in-1 mattress, meaning you can go soft, you can go firm, you can go warm, you can go cool, and it's just awesome. It's a great, great mattress. So if you're looking to get a great night's sleep, you got to hit up our friends at Snooze Sleep and get that Snooze Flip mattress. And if you use the code DNVR, you can save $500 off of a queen mattress and $1,000 off a dual split king with an adjustable base. Head to snoozesleep.com and grab your Snooze Flip mattress today. That is snoozesleep.com.
Guys, if you really like our picks, let's say you want to roll with Mason I's picks, since we had the same picks this week, or you want to roll with Ryan's picks, you parlay them over at DraftKings Sportsbook. You get plus 600 by picking against the spread with those. And that's just, of course, a little bit of the action that you can get on over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Tonight, I'm for sure getting in on the Ravens to beat the doors off the Miami Dolphins. I love that it's a road game for the Ravens, so you get a couple of points back because it's a road game. I think that the Ravens are going to crush the Dolphins. 7.5 right now. It's been swinging between 7.5. Give me that. Easy. And if you bet on this game and you're a new time user, you bet $1, you'll get $100 in free bets if either team scores. That's all you have to do. Bet $1 to win $100 in free bets, which you can use tomorrow night, which there's actually some good football games tomorrow. Saturday, there's obviously good college games. And then Sunday, you can bet on this parlay if you want with that free money. So get over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now.
One quick shout out to DraftKings. You know, yesterday we obviously know Jokic. We all knew Bones Highland was going to play a little bit more. You know, everyone in Denver pounding the table for Bones Highland props. They didn't have to do it. But as the game approached, DraftKings got some Bones Highland props up there. I accidentally bet heavy twice. I only meant to bet heavy once. And then it hit, and I won both bets. So
Man, that worked out.
yeah, it did work out.
Sometimes the betting gods are in your favor.
What was the bet? Do you remember?
Over 7.5 points
For Bones.
for Bones.
Yeah.
He was there in the third quarter.
Yep, he was. Well, he had 2 3. I think he hit his first 2 threes.
Yeah.
I also had Will Barton over 2.5 threes, and he hit his first 2 threes.
Yeah, that's-
I love it. I love it. A great night. And
Great
so
night.
you're rolling into this weekend.
Oh,
with
yeah.
plenty of funds to deal with. And you, of course, we all have the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app. And use that code DNVR when you sign up to get in on this deal. And, of course, you must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
You can even bet on rugby over the DraftKings Sportsbook, although I don't think you can bet on the American Raptors right now. There are other rugby matches out there, but the American Raptors are on the ground in Montevideo, Uruguay for a 2-week tour that will start with matches and a scrimmage. And be sure you're following DNVR Rugby for all the details, because we've got someone on the ground down there in South America, Mr. Colton Strickler. And so check all that out. And of course, the American Raptors, they're comprised of crossover athletes. They ended their first season at 5-5. These are guys who played other sports, and now they're trying their hand at rugby. They come from backgrounds in football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer, and track and field. They possess the necessary skills and athleticism to excel at the game of rugby. And you can, when the American Raptors come back to Glendale, you can hit up a game for free. Head on over to AmericanRaptors.com and grab your free ticket for the upcoming season. If you can't make the games, AmericanRaptors.com will be streaming all of those games from their website. And of course, Colton Strickler has it covered for you. He's down in Uruguay right now. He'll be back in Denver for the American Raptors home matches when they come up here in the next few months. He's got that weekly DNVR Rugby podcast, so hit that subscribe button And hey, if you want to try to join the American Raptors, check it out. You can check out the opportunities over at Infinity Park. Rugby may be your next ride in sports. So check all that out at DNVR Rugby.
Love it. All right, let's move on to the questions from the listeners here as we wrap up the week on the show. Where do we start, Zach?
First one coming in from Vency says, hey guys, during the warm-ups before the Ravens game, there was a Baltimore player in the south end zone who started passing the ball back and forth multiple times with the fans. Do you know who that player was? And as always, keep up the awesome job.
I wasn't looking down there. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't either. I'm sorry about
Could
that.
it have been Derek Wolfe?
Was he at the game since he
was
didn't play?
injured. Yeah, I'm not sure he was even there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe a little more description may be able to help, but
Vaughn used to do that.
yeah, he did. Does Vaughn playing this weekend?
I would guess so.
That's a Monday night game too, so Broncos fans can still see that game prime time Monday night against in Super Bowl 50 territory, where the Broncos won Super Bowl 50.
Why do we keep getting bad primetime games?
I think Broncos fans
You're
are
not
like that.
excited for Ravens Dolphins tonight?
Oh, I'm
excited to
for
see
all
Lamar.
Thursday night football games.
I'm excited to see Lamar. I always like watching him. I just don't want to watch Miami in that
I
game.
expect nothing from the product in Thursday night football, which is why I always enjoy it. I expect Sunday night football and Monday night football to bring it.
Sunday night's good.
Okay.
Raiders, Chiefs, Raiders.
Yeah. Two middling teams.
Yeah, not great. Good for Broncos fans.
Yeah. But yeah, all Thursday night football games are great. In fact, Ravens, Dolphins, better than Rams, 49ers.
Ravens, Dolphins.
Better than Rams, 49ers.
Wow, hot take.
All right.
May not be wrong, though.
Next one from Mile High Till I Die. Right now, Teddy B is on pace for around 30 TDs and 4,000 yards this season. If he ends up with anything close to that, obviously he'll earn a big paycheck here or somewhere else. My question is, if we end up drafting quarterback in the first round, would it be worth it to give Teddy a short-term contract, even if it was expensive? Let's say 2 years, $30 million per year. Whew. Maybe we let our rookie take a redshirt year and learn the offense to be mentored under Teddy, and then maybe his second year start the transition to our drafted guy in a starting role. I feel like that's a reasonable scenario, but maybe too steep of a price. Side note, we should keep Bryce Callahan and give him an incentive-based contract. The more he plays, the more he gets paid. He's so consistent on the field, it's just such a bummer he can't stay healthy.
Really quick, guys, Mile High Till I Die. I think it's a fantastic question about Teddy, but one that deserves probably a full segment, and I think that's something we should absolutely talk about next week during the bye week, because this is a huge thing. Because you're right, Mile High Till I Die. Teddy's playing fantastic. The best quarterback play we've seen
Since Peyton.
Even since like 2014 Peyton. So are you really just going to let him walk? I think it's a great question. How much do you pay him? What are you willing to do?
And also, where, if you bring in a young quarterback, where do you pick him? Because I think this is where, like, if you do pick a young quarterback, if you believe in him enough, you need to pick him in the first round. And look, we saw George Payton and Rick Spielman in 2014 with Minnesota trade back into round one to pick Bridgewater, because if that timeline is going to work, you need to have the fifth-year option. Frankly, the lack of the fifth-year option is one of the things working against Drew right now.
Gosh, this is such an interesting draft. I feel like the game-changing players are really few and far between, and that includes the quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yet we're still going to be talking about 4 to maybe even 7 guys, not 7 being drafted, but 7 in the conversation. It's going to be interesting. I mean, George Payton's already seeing 4 of them. And your question about Bryce Callahan, I love where you're thinking, but incentive-based contracts rarely happen.
Well, there are incentives in contracts, but it's like guys aren't getting paid per game.
Right. And the incentives are typically minimal compared to what the overall contract is. The Broncos would love to do an incentive-based contract. That's exactly what you want to do with a guy like Bryce Callahan.
Put Bryce Callahan on an hourly wage.
Right, exactly. But my guess is if the Broncos were to offer him a contract where he's making most of his salary on incentives, some other team's going to guarantee him that money.
The teams get desperate. I mean,
especially for corners.
And the Broncos have been guilty of this, but every team is guilty of this. When you have a hole and there's a guy out there and he's good, you can just cross your fingers and say, oh, well, we have a hole at corner. Let's bring in Bryce Callahan.
Yep, 100%. Next one coming in from Nick Scott. He says, my wife and I will be flying into Denver on Friday for the game this Sunday. I'd love to meet all of you at some point at the bar this weekend. Do you know when and if you guys will be at the bar this weekend? Yes, Mace, that includes you. And RK, did you say you're going to the game on Sunday as well? Can't wait to meet you guys. Been listening since the BSN days.
Well, I feel like the best way to meet all of us is just come to the tailgate.
Absolutely.
But you gotta be there the whole time because like I pop in early, Zach pops in later, so you know we're RK is the only one who's pretty much there start to finish.
Yeah, no, you can't miss the tailgate.
I mean, I would say if you're at the tailgate at a normal time, you'll get to see all three of us. And also, speaking of that, come and say hi if you see one of us there. Love to meet all of you guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when I'll be at the bar this weekend before Sunday, and I do not know the answer to that. Yeah, I was thinking Buffs game Saturday night, but there's also a Buffs basketball game midday. So the hope is it's a quick game.
Is it
you
home?
Get from it's away.
Okay.
So you get from the home the basketball game's at home. You get from the home basketball game to the DNVR bar by kickoff. Could be a stretch.
I wouldn't be asking you if you were going to be in Denver for a home CU football game. Come on.
I got confused about what you were asking me. So I don't know. And then Friday night at the bar is always a good time.
Yep.
So maybe that's.
Yep, can't wait to see you, Nick, no doubt. Melbourne Broncos says, hi, guys. I'm still feeling good Broncos vibes. Loving this week's uniforms. What do you think the chances are for Surtain and Williams in defense and offensive rookie of the year awards? Big value available on some betting companies. Cheers.
0% chance for Javonte. Not enough usage, and it just always goes to a quarterback.
Or it goes to a receiver. Like Jamar Chase right now is who I would expect to get rookie of the year.
Interesting.
Because he's literally putting up the most productive rookie receiver season since Randy Moss.
Did Justin Jefferson win it last year?
No, he did not.
No, Justin Herbert did.
Big,
right.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. If any of these, like Mac Jones, I would say is probably the favorite right now. I'm just. I'm not saying he's better than Jamar Chase. I just said they usually give it to a quarterback.
I mean, as good as Jefferson was, I mean, Chase is doing, like, you look at his per catch average, you look at the big plays. He's having an outlandish season for a rookie, and certainly it helps that he came in with that timing with Joe Burrow. But I think there are too many guys in front of Javonte Williams. Now, defensive side, that's probably a little more realistic.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I would say he's got to be right in the running.
Who else do we have? He was the second defensive player drafted. The guy ahead of him,
J.C. Horn has been hurt.
But Micah Parsons, especially being with Dallas, and the stats he's putting up have been really good. He'll be up there, and that may be something that hurts Pat. Is that he's been the Broncos' best cornerback this year, so teams haven't been throwing to him.
Okay.
So he hasn't been talked about, so he hasn't been making highlight plays, so he hasn't been getting interceptions.
Pat Surtain is currently tied for second right now with 10-1 odds.
Wow.
Who's he tied with?
Azeez Ojulari and Jason Owe. Rookie, the favorite, 5 to 6 odds on Micah Parsons.
What are they going to put on the graphic as to why Pat Surtain won Rookie of the Year?
Shut down corner.
So that's what I mean. It shouldn't matter, but it matters,
right? Yeah.
Right? You know, Jason Owe, you're saying he has this many sacks. Michael Parsons, you're saying he has this many sacks, this many tackles, this many that. Like Pat Surtain, you're just like he was the best corner on the most highest paid secondary in the NFL.
What was his PFF grade? And are there any honors?
Yeah, PFF grade could work.
Has he done enough to get in the Pro Bowl conversation?
I think so. I think he's done enough to be in the All-Pro conversation.
That's if he's a Pro Bowl corner as a rookie, then that alone might tip the scales in his favor.
Man, I just think he's going to get slighted this year for it.
Shutdown corners rarely get honored in things other than PFF grades, Pro Bowls, and All-Pros.
Yeah, it's a really good point. But, man, he's deserving. Absolutely. I think it's a great question. Dan Burke says, hey, guys, so we all love Javonte Williams and think he's special, but are y'all concerned about his playing style wearing him down the longer he plays? He was part of a shared backfield in college and his first year in the NFL, so should the Broncos consider investing in the running back position next year so he has an equally good running back besides him? Whether that's bringing in a decent free agent, drafting another back relatively high, or re-signing Melvin Gordon. I know a lot of people want him to be the lead back, but should the Broncos be playing the long game here? What do y'all think?
And this sucks from a player perspective, but if I'm a general manager, my plan is always draft a running back, run them and run them and run them and run them until they wear out, and then just draft another running back. Now, you don't even necessarily have to go as high as the second round, but if you get 4 years of really great value out of a running back, that might be worth it. So the idea to me of trying to extend a running back's career by not using them as much is counterintuitive to what I would do. I would use the hell out of them and then just get a new one. And again, that's no one wants to hear that because everyone wants to buy a Javonte Williams jersey, but that's how I would approach it.
But also, I'd think of it from a football perspective. You're let's say whether it's Teddy Bridgewater or a young quarterback, the thing that helps the most is having a running game that teams are game planning for and focusing on. And that running game being able to get yards as the game goes on, to have those 2 and 3 yard runs become 7 and 8 yard haymakers in the fourth quarter. A great way to do that is to have 2 guys and ensure that you're going to have fresh legs that can take advantage of a fatigued defense and allow you to close out game after game. Frankly, I like the idea. If you can get the cost figures right, I like the idea of, say, if Melvin Gordon's willing to sign a 10 million 2-year contract with 7 guaranteed, I would do that in a heartbeat and keep this duo together. They work well together.
I'm not against keeping the duo together because
Yeah.
essentially you're getting half of it for really cheap.
Yeah, and that's the ideal. If Melvin wants to go somewhere else, like I think we do, he'll probably want a bigger role somewhere else. Get yourself a Tony Pollard if you can. Now, it's easier said than done, but I mean, that type of second running back where Zeke is still clearly the number 1 there. And maybe it's a 70-30 split. I think that's ideal because you do want the balance, but Javonte's so good to only give him 50%. So I like where you're coming from.
Thunder and
there.
lightning situation.
Right.
I would love that. I'm trying to think if there's, and I haven't necessarily scouted running backs. I'm trying to think if there's any speed running backs that have popped off the page to me this year.
Or do you
watching
just
college
want like a
football.
productive veteran? I mean, that's
But Mike Boone,
Yeah.
I've always thought he might be
Yep.
the future number 2. And that's kind of the way they've looked at him.
And a guy that you're comfortable giving 25-30% of the reps to.
I mean, I know this sounds crazy because he failed here. Devontae Booker has been a pretty solid back
Yes,
since
he has.
leaving Denver.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both
he has.
with the Raiders and the Giants. And if they moved on from Melvin Gordon, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Book back.
No, I would like a little more explosion out of whoever it is. But you are completely right. He has been a good running back.
Boozy says, my boys, I'm making the drive down from Canada for the game this weekend. First time in Denver. I'm so pumped. I'll see y'all at the tailgate, hoping for a dub. Let's go.
Can't wait.
Let's go. That is awesome.
I might be up to a 9. Getting excited for this game.
Me too.
Knowing
I'm
that
a
somebody's
7 at least.
Knowing that somebody is driving from Canada,
Right.
I mean, that's not
Yeah,
exactly around the
exactly.
corner. That's a hike.
Maybe there's like
Even if you're coming from Alberta, it's a hike.
maybe there's like a Canada, South Dakota.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Matt says, good day, boys. Been a member for many years and first time commenting. Flying in from Sunday's game from Seattle and pumped to see it at the bar for the first time. I usually try to come for at least one game a year and was disappointed I couldn't make the trip last season. Just bought my tailgate and party bus tickets. Any advice on when to show up to the bar? Any other tips to what to do this weekend? Thanks for all you guys do and keep me informed on my favorite team. Looking forward to meeting you, DNVR fam.
Show up at 10 a.m.
Yep.
Get yourself a seat right next to the booth where we're doing the tailgate and watch as Andre, the digital tailgate, the show, and watch as Andre loses his mind over something benign.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Loses his mind. Yep. Yeah, and get here. Take you're flying in, so you definitely want to ride to the game. Take the bus.
Yep.
And then we'll see you at the tailgate.
It's also going to be a spectacular Saturday as well. So, I mean, if you're into anything outdoors before you come on down to the DNVR bar, it's a good day to take a hike, good day to visit a park as well. It's going to be like 67 degrees and sunny.
Mace telling our fans to take a hike.
Unbelievable. And we're about to take a hike, but last one coming in from Big Tony. He says, my boys, I was wondering who you guys have your eyes on as far as quarterbacks in next year's draft class. I've fallen in love with Kenny Pickett out of Pitt. He reminds me of a poor man's Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert
poor man's
hybrid.
anything.
Also, hypothetically, let's say that for whatever reason we move on from Vic, fingers crossed, and we are able to hire Doug Peterson in. Who do you think would be in as offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator? Jim Schwartz was his in Philly, but he runs a 4-3. Do we have the personnel to make such a switch from 3-4 to 4-3 right now?
Yeah, I mean, like Malik Reed can go be a 3-4 outside linebacker. You know, Bradley Chubb can be a down defensive end. You have Shelby Harris working inside.
I don't like this.
Raymond Jones. Yeah, I mean, basically 3-4 and 4-3, they have more similarities now than in the past. So
most teams are running both.
Yeah, it's
all the time.
It's interchange. I think they could be fine.
Wouldn't Vaughn be the reason you wouldn't go from a 3, like the biggest reason before trading him, you wouldn't go from a 3-4 to a 4-3 because he's the one that really doesn't. You're just not maximizing who he is.
Yeah, I guess.
Vaughn had some great years as a 4-3 base pack, like sub package end. He'd be 3-4 out or 4-3 outside line. He'd be outside linebacker in base, and then he'd go put his hand in the dirt when they went to sub, and it worked great. I mean, Vaughn was a great player those first 4 years.
You've been in doing 3-4 for so long that I think it just behooves you to keep doing that. Anyways, conversation for another day. We do have 2 super chats we got to hit, so let's hit these real quick.
Here Zachary sent a super chat, and then he responded, whoops, first time donating, forgot to send a message. But thank you for donating.
Thank you, Zachary. Great name, by the way.
Yes, great name, and thank you so much for the super chat. And then last one here.
Jake here.
What's the word on Jamar Johnson, guys?
Just taking the path of a third round, or I'm sorry, a day 3 draft pick. Because
Right.
Caden Stearns is balling out, it makes Jamar Johnson look bad, but he's not like having a bad year. This is kind of the route that we expected. We just didn't really expect to have so much production out of Caden Stearns. But so Jamar Johnson, no need to worry now.
I mean, if you're kind of saying who's ahead right now, Stearns is ahead, and Stearns is kind of more on the path to a starting role, and maybe next year you're talking about Jamar Johnson being your number 3 safety. But he's still very much in their plans. He's doing fine from all accounts.
It is funny. You've got you've got Caden Stearns and Jonathan Cooper out there making everyone else look bad.
You seriously do, and it's a great thing to have.
It is a great thing to have. All right, finally, before we get out of here, shout out to Green Mountain Dental Group, where you can get a free Sonicare toothbrush when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam. We love them over there at Green Mountain Dental Group, so if you need any work done, make sure you go see them. Tell them we sent you, and enjoy the great atmosphere they have over there. It's really a family, and they love Denver sports just like you. So that's going to wrap it up for us this week on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Of course, we'll be back with you on Sunday doing a post-game show, and we'll also have the tailgate show leading into the actual tailgate before the game on Sunday. So hopefully we'll see you guys this weekend.